Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
The Nintendo Switch 2 reveal direct was today. A lot of good stuff. Got a little odd the more you looked into it, which I think was the most interesting part, is it seemed like all the stuff. Let's talk about the system. Let's not tell you the price. Let's talk about these games. Not quite all the information about all these games. So much of this felt like it was okay, that direct was okay. And then it was like, oh, here comes the bad news in a scavenger hunt through the Nintendo website / Blue Sky / Twitter / wherever to try and find all of the actual information about the Nintendo Switch 2.
Very weird direct. It was like, because it was exactly that. And the thing was, it's like the information like after the direct was like coming from all these different sources. Like, okay, oh no, the prices in Europe got released, and like it's like, wait, what's the prices in the US? Like, and then it's just like, oh my god.
Best Buy
and then we'll talk about
yes, everything was just all over.
Yeah.
There was no. It literally just felt like every single related business had two pieces of information about this, and they all just shot out of a cannon at like 11:15 this morning. Of like, but did you look here? But did you look here? Did you look here? Did you look here? And like now, a few hours later, we have this full picture of what the Switch 2 is going to be.
Yeah.
So to start with,
it's going to be expensive.
We'll get there. But I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to the price. But let's start with talking about what's new about the Switch 2. We already knew about this, but seeing some things that they're doing with it makes me very excited. Is the mouse. This is by far the thing I am most excited about for Switch 2. I am not a PC gamer. However, like 25 years ago, when like a normal PC could play normal PC games, I absolutely loved like RTS games and all of those strategy games and all that on a mouse and keyboard was so good. And just Civ 7 popped up and I was like, oh, wait, holy shit. I haven't played like a Civ since like Civ 3 because PCs and I'm not playing a console like that with a handheld or with a controller. So Civ 7 was like one of those like, ooh, I can finally play Civilization. I am excited. This is awesome. And all my mind is going is like, I want a Command and Conquer collection. Could we see with Microsoft pushing these games? Could we see Age of Empires on the Switch? And I can play it again now that I'll have a mouse.
Sure, absolutely.
Like, that's where my mind went to it. It is easily my favorite feature of this thing. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think though, I don't know if you've ever tried to use a mouse on a TV. There is like a weird disconnect being so far from the TV. That like I'm really curious. Like maybe they solved that issue. Maybe it's not going to be a big issue. But like the only thing is like, what are you going to use it like on your lap? So you're going to be playing your game and have like, have you ever tried using like a laptop like sitting on your couch and you need to use the mouse and you're like kind of rubbing the mouse on the couch? I don't know. It's a cool idea, I think, if it works.
Problems. These are solvable problems for me to be able to play an RTS game again. Solvable problems.
Nintendo will sell you a mouse pad.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I've got one in an old drawer somewhere or something. Or, move a table. I moved couches to play VR. I can move a table to play a mouse.
That is totally fair.
The other thing I didn't think about with this until they showed the Metroid Prime 4 update is the idea of like using like essentially a mouse and keyboard controls where you've got the mouse and a controller at the same time, just because that Joy-Con's so small. You get the mouse, you get, a stick, and you could probably get to maybe a couple buttons on there. And just, I thought that was a very interesting thing that I just never even processed in my mind before of like, oh, okay, like you could do a mouse and keyboard first-person shooter setup almost on this thing. So I think that's really interesting. And they showed a little bit of it in Mario Party too, where you could kind of like move around and just something that you couldn't do on a console before just because of speed and everything else that I think could lead to some cool games coming to Switch 2 that weren't announced today, but maybe.
Yeah. And it definitely solves the problem like doing RTSs with a controller, which was like never quite worked. The one that actually made me perk up was the 2 Point. I think it was like 2 Point Museum they announced. Like, actually I really want to play 2 Point. That's kind of cool. Actually, the thing that stuck out to me, because I play a lot of games with my family, was the game chat stuff. I know that like I think when we were talking, like we were like, what's the thing that you're most excited about? Yeah, well, it's funny. It's like the thing you were most excited about, I was not excited about at all, and the thing I was most excited about, you were not excited about at all. I play a lot of games with my family on PS5 mostly with game chat, and I've tried to do it on like Switch. And how you do it is you turn on your phone and put on speaker mode, and that's how you chat with your family. I think the thing that's like really cool about this, I do like the I liked how well integrated it is. Now it's like pretty similar to like PS5. In PS5, you can do that screen share thing. It is something that exists in PS5, but it being just so easily like it's just like kind of the default. I thought was really cool because you're always trying to see somebody else's screen, like and understand like what are they seeing, what are they reacting to. I think like I thought it was really cool how they told the story of the Switch 2 with Mario Kart, and they're just showing like it's like okay, you're gonna use voice chat, like okay, that's kind of cool, and they kind of show it as like a Discord screen. So I think it's like, oh, that's actually kind of neat how they have it displayed. Oh, you can also share your screen. You can all be playing 4 different games at once, and you can have your own webcam thing. I just how it was integrated, I thought it was really cool. And because I play a lot of games with my family who are all over the country, that to me was like the most exciting and interesting thing. That was to me like I could show it to my dad and say like, hey, we might want to talk about getting a Switch 2 because playing Mario Kart is almost like a Destiny thing. That was like cool. It's like explore the world of Mario Kart with like a group of 4 with like 3 other people. Like to me, it was like super fun idea. But I also play those kind of games. I could see like maybe wouldn't be interested in that stuff at all because that's just not the type of games you play.
I don't think Civ 7's going to have that feature. Or Bravely Default. I don't think I'm going to be pulling up the screen share, and it's definitely not my thing. I think it's one of those things where the elevator pitch almost of it of like, but you can play games and talk to people and see what they're doing is just like it's 2025. Yes, we can.
You should be able to do that. Yeah,
but
that should just be
I mean, Nintendo catching up to that point is very cool. And B, I think that's just the C button integration where it's just, okay, no, this just has a dedicated menu. It has a dedicated button. It almost feels like kind of that step forward when PlayStation went so hard into streaming. It's like, no, you just have a share button. You just push this button and stuff pulls up to record and share. And it feels kind of like that similar step of like, okay, no, this is what we want this to be. This isn't like we're not focusing on you getting on Twitch and streaming it. We're focused on you getting together with your family, like you said, and playing these games together as a family, not with 8,000 other people, like you're hitting the share button, doing all that with your 4 people. And I thought it's a very cool idea. Again, it's just not something that I have a use for. Yeah. Very cool idea, though.
Yeah, it seems like they're really pushing that as kind of like a local like it seems like to me like they're trying to get the multiplayer experience to feel like local multiplayer. Some of the other cool like local multiplayer stuff. The other thing I thought was really cool was the game share stuff. Yeah. That like it seemed like in theory you could have one copy of Mario Party and everybody can play together. Although Mario Party was the one game they said that was not mentioned. But I thought that was like really cool. Like it seemed like if you're on the same Wi-Fi that you guys can all sort of like, you only have to have one copy of a game to play the multiplayer. It's like, that's really cool. They've been doing that for a while, but not as like integrated. I think the thing I just liked about this, it's like stuff that is in other systems, but it seems to be like much more well integrated into this and like a main feature as opposed to something that's like with PlayStation, you can do the picture-in-picture sharing. It's a little buried. It's not the most intuitive thing to use, and this is just kind of like the default.
Yeah, and,
which I thought was really
cool.
I
think that kind of almost followed along with what they were talking about with like the digital card thing, where you can just take your digital card and like there's lots of this share, there's lots of this connect. That stuff I think I am interested in, just because I'm like slowly getting to the point where my daughter's old enough that she might need like her own Switch. So it's like, okay, like we can just buy one copy of Mario Kart and I can play her here own and Switch here. Is very funny.
Yeah. You don't understand. It's a need. There's food, there's water, and there's a Nintendo Switch too.
Yes. Yeah. So to follow up on Game Chat, kind of have the last piece of kind of these new features here that I want to talk about. To follow up on Game Chat, are you getting the webcam?
Okay, so apparently I was literally just before we started this, any webcam with USB-C works. I was like, that's pretty cool. So
that makes it much neater.
I can do that. Yeah, and exactly. I was like, oh, that's a neat idea.
Especially
I'm glad it's not the default. Yeah, I know.
I feel like Nintendo's all about the you buy our thing.
Yeah, the very specific thing. I am glad that's not the default because both Xbox and PlayStation had webcams and they both took them off for like child safety rule reasons. So I'm like really curious. Like it's like, oh, they're like, oh, there's parental controls on this. Like, I don't know how well that's gonna work, guys. We'll see how this goes. I'm sure the third time's the charm on like people being weird on webcams, but we'll see.
I mean, to me, keep Nintendo 10 years back with them not considering weird webcam stuff.
Yeah, but to me, it's like me playing with my sisters and my nephew and all having like, the webcam up and like seeing them instead of just like hearing them react to say, but actually seeing like their face on screen is like where like a blue shell's coming down. Like that's actually super fun. I think it's just it feels like it's catching up, but also just the fact that it's more well integrated overall to me is like that's the thing that's interesting about it.
It's the thing they're leaning into, which everybody else is like, yeah, we can do that. Sure, toss it in there. I'm sure one person out of every 300 will use it. Whereas this feels like, no, we want 90% of our install base to be using these features.
Yes. Exactly.
I'll be the weird 10. So in the Direct, we very specifically got June 5, which is like exactly 2 months, which is so fast.
That I was really surprised by that. I definitely thought this was gonna be like a September, maybe the end of the year thing.
I don't know enough about like supply chain and market and how back ends of like supplies and business works, but it seems insane to me to get all these things like delivered, shipped out in stores, on store shelves, ordered, in 8 weeks. That seems like a logistical nightmare.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like the reason there's so many Switch 2 leaks recently is they've been manufacturing them for a while.
That was their thing. Is like, well, like you can't scalp them if they're everywhere.
Yes, which is smart.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
So I do think that's a good problem to have, but it is one of those things where it just feels like that this is so quick. Like, oh my god, how is this happening like in 8 weeks? We kind of talked about some of the shady stuff of the Direct, and I think this is the big one. Is there was no price announcement in this Direct. However, 45 seconds after this thing ended, press releases went out with the price of $450.
That price could change tomorrow too, which is very funny. I think they specifically did it because they're not sure about tariff stuff. They didn't want to say it during the Direct because if they record this 3 weeks ago, it could be totally different.
I didn't think about that. That's true. That it's all kind of volatile international shipping at the moment. So yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that they didn't put it in there because of that. I just assumed it's high because of that. But anyway.
No, I'm pretty sure it's all because of this tariff mess stuff. But I think the price was okay. Like to me, like $450, $500. Because how much is a PS5? Is $500, isn't it?
It's been a couple of years. I don't remember.
I mean, I think it's about the same
price. I would say
yes,
maybe it's in that range.
Cheaper than a PS5, which like makes sense. And that's about the cost of a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So the price to me didn't flinch. It was the freaking game cost, though. What the fuck are we doing here, guys?
Well, hold on. Before we get to the games, because those are insane. I do think that the general thought process was that Steam Deck thing of like they're going to try and undercut Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Because I do think that's one of their bigger competitors now is like Steam Deck. Yeah. We're not trying to push like PlayStation, and Xbox is kind of doing something with Game Pass. Like the handheld market, which I think Switch leans harder towards, is Steam Deck right now. So I'm surprised that there wasn't like a huge undercut there, but.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do think I wasn't shocked by 450 or 500 for the Mario pack-in, which to where you were going is a hell of a deal.
Oh my god, dude. Okay, Nintendo forever. Like this is back. Like one of the reasons they don't reduce the cost of their games, or like why Breath of the Wild's still $60, is that they like to say that Nintendo's like a boutique product, and they don't want to. So the news is that these games are going to cost like $80, potentially $90 in certain countries and stuff. I think it's $80 in the US for certain games.
For some.
40, for some. But it's interesting. I think to look at this positively, I think it's interesting that they're using the gamut of prices that like from $40 up to $80 for new Switch 2 games. That's just kind of an interesting, just widening up like the potential cost of a game. Nintendo doesn't make $80 games. Very few companies make $80 games. I would say Nintendo makes two $80 games a generation. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you Breath of the Wild, the 2 Zelda games, and Mario Odyssey. Like those I would say were like gold tier 10 out of 10 games.
Xenoblade?
Sure, why not? Throw a Xenoblade in there.
Smash?
4, maybe 5. Okay. You're correct, but I'm just saying it's not Kirby in the Forgotten Land Switch 2 version. It's not Breath of the Wild Switch 2 version. It's not. It's like I couldn't believe the Kirby price. It's like what the hell?
What are we doing? Mario Kart, I get. Mario Kart, I'm like, okay, like we get it. Everybody's gonna buy Mario Kart. You're gonna make this a platform. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was getting updates for years. Like you're essentially selling, and then not only that, but if you were a Switch Online member, those updates were free. So I kind of get Mario Kart. It's like, okay, no, we're selling like a Mario Kart platform. But that Kirby Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition being $80 for a 3-year-old game, 2-year-old game?
Yeah.
It's getting
Breath of the Wild Switch 2. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are also both $80.
Yes. And those are just getting a phone app from what I could tell.
Whatever.
A $20 phone app.
Yeah. I don't these aren't 10 out of 10 games. Like, I'm sorry. Like, they're not $80 games. Like, there's no way that they're out. Sure. I don't think Kirby's a 10 out of, I don't think Kirby's a 10 out of 10 game.
I thought you were saying Zelda's. Like, Zelda's, I get.
No, but I'm saying, like,
Kirby Forgotten Land is a good game.
Games.
That game took me 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying, they're not 10 out of 10 games, like, still three. I mean, they are, like, 3 years later, but, like, the 10 out of 10 PS4 and PS5 games are now $20. They're not $80. Like, to get the Horizon Zero Dawn upgrade, which looks much better than these other upgrades, is $10. And on a $20 game. So, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
I do think too, there's a little bit in the back of my mind of going like, okay, if I want Mario Kart World, I can't wait like I can wait on a PlayStation game, because that game will be $80 and 4 years from now it might be $65.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can kind of get away with, okay, like, let's just say Horizon Forbidden West. I'll bet you could find Horizon Forbidden West right now pretty easily for $20 to $30 2 years later.
Even less. I've seen it on sale for like $10. Like,
Forbidden West?
For the Forbidden West.
Damn.
Yeah.
But again, that's the point, being like, Nintendo's not going to lower that. This thing is $80. It's not like, okay, I don't have $80 to buy Mario Kart. I have $30 that I could spend on it 2 years from now, but it's never going to be that price. I think that's the thing where it's like, if you're going to raise them, I think you also have to go, okay, we need to start throwing in some sales, some discounts, because every now and then I see people being like, oh man, you can get Mario Odyssey for $40. It's like, that game is 10 years old.
I mean, sure, if this comes with sales, I don't know. It just, like, to me, it's just disappointing, because it also, like, it just seems like a rich kid's console. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's the way that gaming's like slowly trending in a bad way, where it's like, okay, you have to have the $1,500 graphics card in your computer. Yeah. You have to buy the Pro Edition console for this thing to look good. Yeah, you can buy a $60 game, but there's a $40 deluxe edition that has all the extra stuff. I just think like gaming in general is getting way more expensive way fast, and I'm sure there's 100 things to blame for that, but
I guess, but I'd say, like, I mean, but like with the rise of, like, I'm not like, I don't enjoy Fortnite, but like Fortnite and Minecraft and, like, let's say even the Call of Duty, like, those are still, like, not necessarily cost prohibitive games. Like, or there are ways to, like, play like Call of Duty is $60, but you can play Warzone with your friends. That's still free. Like, to me, it's just like, you don't play Mario Kart unless you pay $80. It's like insane to me.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, that to me is just like that to me is I don't know. When I was a kid, we couldn't afford a lot of games. So I'm always, like, kind of hypersensitive to this stuff, because, like, I played my games because we rented them.
Yeah.
That's how, I didn't own a lot of PlayStation games. I rented all my games. So I'm, like, kind of sensitive to that. So it's just like seeing $80 games. It's just like, man, you just cut off, like, especially kids games. Like, you just cut off just, like, huge portions of people. And honestly, when Grand Theft Auto comes out for $80, good luck comparing any of your Nintendo games against Grand Theft Auto 6. It's like, yeah, these are the same value proposition. You know what I mean?
I'll get so much out of any one of these.
I guess that's true.
But
I guess that's fair.
I mean, I think,
but I'm just saying that the type of game versus.
But I think the thing you bring up with all those is, working in a middle school, those are the games kids play now. Like, they're going to the free games because games already are too expensive, and it's like, well, I need to play Fortnite, and Mom can't say I can't buy Fortnite because it's free, so we'll go play Fortnite. You know what I mean? Like, those are the games that kids are playing. They're playing, like, the weird Flash ripoff versions of whatever online because I can get this for free, and these things are so cost prohibitive. But those are the things that you see. So it's like, okay, now, to your point, Mario Kart being 80, like, if 60 is prohibitive for so many people, 80 is just even more. So it's crazy. I don't think this could be a whole nother, like, 45-minute episode on pricing games. So let's talk games. Mm-hmm. I was a little disappointed, if I'm being honest. I so miss, and I think this is just because I'm a more patient person than many gamers, so to speak. I miss knowing. I miss knowing what's coming like 4 years from now.
I love that stuff. I totally agree. I don't understand why people are like, I love
Tell me that there is a cool new Legend of Zelda coming in 2028 and I got to wait 3 years. Fine.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been waiting for Avengers Doomsday for 5 freaking years and I'm still pumped about it. Like, I hate the, like, well, we can't announce until 3 months before, especially at something like this where it's like, I want to know, like, you're getting these ones now. 2 years from now, we're shooting for another Mario. 3 years from now, you're getting Xenoblade 4. I missed that. So it felt empty to me because I was kind of hoping that we could get maybe a first 2 years, 3 years worth. Not 3 years. 3 years is probably, I would love it, but probably way too much. This felt like here's the first 6 months.
Yeah, and like those, I think those like 6 month and short turnaround announcements are fine if you own the console, because it's like, that's, to me, it's like, okay, I'm going to get those games soon. But like, if you need to be convinced to purchase a new console, you do need to see like that far look ahead. Because like right now, like you said, like the first 6 months, like I think I can wait 6 months. Like pretty confident.
2025 looks like there's 3 or 4 things I'd like to play there, but you know, who knows? I don't know.
No,
I don't know. Whole other concept, whole other thing. Mario Kart World. Let's talk about it. We'll kind of just all over the place.
I thought this was so cool. I thought this was super cool.
I know you're, so not being a Nintendo person, you're like weirdly into Mario Kart.
I like kart racers. I'm not super into Mario Kart. I just like, this is more of the multiplayer stuff. I like kind of hangout games is what I'm like as I'm getting older, because I play those kinds of plays. I just thought the drive around Mario Kart, not even racing in an open world with like 3 friends, was like just a really cool idea. I think like the game being open world will ultimately be detrimental to the game, because you're not going to have the variety of tracks that you might have in like in a normal Mario Kart game. And even looking at the Mario Kart like itself, like the tracks weren't like, whoa. I was like, I think 8 looked kind of better than this one, but it's, I guess it's open world.
It looks like a goofy Forza Horizon.
Sure.
That was exactly where my mind to was like, I feel like a lot of this is what Forza Horizon did. And they're like, okay, can we integrate totally Mario Kart and Forza Horizon? Like, and can we make these this own thing? Which is a very cool idea. I think there's lots of cool stuff in here. I do think there's a little bit of like, so you're saying that like detriment to it. They did specifically point out like classic Grand Prix is still here. Like you can still do that.
Yeah.
But I think just that design necessity of all these need to be connected, somehow you do lose some of that goofy stuff a little bit. But however, there were some very cool looking tracks in this too.
Yeah, I think it was just cool. It looked different. It looked like something new from Mario Kart that I was not expecting, like open world. I was like, oh, that's just a cool idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though as soon as you said Forza Horizon, I was like, yeah, I guess other games are doing that too. This kind of does feel like a little bit of a catch up for Nintendo in general.
I mean, that's how Nintendo rolls. It's always been a catch up. Except for Wii. The second announced by Nintendo video game for the Switch 2 was what as I was watching, assumed was, oh, okay, this is a neat little pack-in thing. Like, welcome tour. Welcome tour. That sounds like something that they would just give you, like an Astro's Playroom, where you can just wander around and learn about the Switch and try out the mouse and try out these features. But no, it is a paid digital product.
If this thing is more than $5, the thing that was like, I had heard that it was a paid thing before seeing the trailer. So I kind of like went in it, like kind of knowing that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is like a collection of mini games or something like that. But it's like, no, it's just like learn fun facts about the Switch 2 is insane to be like, it was funny. People are comparing to like other free packing games, like Astro's Playroom. Like, okay, obviously they're like, Valve does awesome packing games for like, they do like Portal adjacent games for their VR systems. Mm-hmm. And they did a Portal adjacent game for Steam Deck. That was incredible. And it's just like, not only is this one it's like paid for, it's also like clearly the worst. Even if it was free, it would still be the worst of the free packing games. It's like insane.
When I thought it was free packing, it was one of those like, oh, so it's just kind of like the instruction manual. Because initially it's just like, you can read about how the magnets work. It's like, oh, so it's just the instruction manual like digitized. That's a very cool. Oh, I'm paying for the instruction manual? Let us put our Wikipedia page in an interesting presentation and charge you $5 to read it.
And the thing that was really funny, it's like, oh, it looked like, what it looked like is exactly how Astro Playroom came to be, is that they were doing experiments with the new controllers, and then they sort of packed it together into a product. It's like, oh, that's what they're doing here. But also, it doesn't even look like it has the spit shine on it that like Astro had. It was just like cool. It's cool tech demo stuff, which is neat. But it's like, you don't sell
charge me for
cool
that
tech demo stuff. Yeah. It does. I mean, I might be curious. If it's $5, I'm probably picking it up.
I do think it's one of those things that might have that sweet spot price, like $3 to $10. Yeah. Like there's some consideration of just like, okay, like I want to know what my Switch 2 can do. Show me how all these things work. I guess I'm paying you $7 on top of the $500 for the privilege.
That's exactly.
Again, just kind of jumping around here. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Oh my gosh, this looked amazing. I am so pumped about this. Mm-hmm. It looks like a just stupid fun platformer. I love that. Sure. Where it's goofy. You've got dumb faces being made by Donkey Kong all the time. He's picking up giant chunks of rock. There's weird drillings. Just all kinds of just dumb fun, which is what I think a platformer needs to have. And this looks like it just had it so much. I do think it's going to struggle a little bit because it doesn't quite have that like Mario Odyssey hook to it. It didn't seem like it just seemed like no, we're making a fun Donkey Kong platformer, which I think to people like me who loved Donkey Kong 64, like all of our like again our 35 to 45-year-olds, like oh yeah, new Donkey Kong, sweet. But if you're like trying to sell this to somebody who doesn't have that background with Donkey Kong, it's just Donkey Kong, but good.
Yeah, it looked cool. It didn't like, to me, it didn't like scream Donkey Kong. I'm always up, but I'm like always up for like, hey, mixing up or whatever. It's like, if Donkey Kong wasn't in that trailer, I don't think I would have identified that as a Donkey Kong game, for better and for worse.
Well, no, it had a couple. There were a couple of things that were recognizable because I think I was like 10 seconds into it before he showed up. I was like, is this like there was enough that I went, I think this might be Donkey Kong.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it looked cool. I think like the destruction stuff was like kind of neat. I think I need to see more. This will give me like, I kind of need this in my hands. I think I was surprised, like, well, not to get negative, but maybe. It didn't look like the Switch 2 games don't look like next generation games. I don't expect them to look like PS5 games, but they look like better running Switch games. Like some of them looked like about PS4 level. Some looked like a little worse than PS4 level. It's very strange. I'm not quite sure where this fits in because like this doesn't look as good as Horizon Zero Dawn. Obviously a totally different type of game, but it's just like I'm like, what is the power of the Switch? I'm so confused.
I don't think it matters. I think, okay, sure. I think having been somebody that's had Nintendo consoles forever, it doesn't matter. You're playing like Nintendo is not sitting here going like we need to and be 2025 top of the line. No, it's like okay, we need a system that works for the things we want to do. We're gonna make that system. Sure, it's not looking like amazing. Sure, Elden Ring doesn't quite look as good. Like, but
that was weird.
We can do all these other things with it, and I think that's again going back basically to the Wii. Ever since the Wii, that's kind of been their thing of like it's not as strong, sure, but look at the stupid little remote you get to wave. Look, it's a Wii U. You got two screens. Look, it's a Switch. You can move it around. This one almost feels like it should be just because it doesn't have that weird gimmick to it, I think, that it makes you feel like, oh, if it's just a more powerful Switch, then we should be up to PS5 standards.
It's something close. Or like it was just weird. Certain games, like the fact that like Elden Ring looked worse than the PS4 version, but then the thing's also playing Cyberpunk. It's like what is going on with this thing? It's very confusing. I just felt that when I was like watching the DK trailer. Yeah. Again,
this next one I think gets into the little shady business Nintendo was pulling here. The Duskbloods, the new FromSoft game. Which watching that trailer, I went, "Oh my god, I want to play this!" Even though it's FromSoft, because I play 3 hours of those. And then we got all the information about 45 minutes later from some product sites.
Dude, what the fuck is okay? So at first blush, this looks like Bloodborne 2.
Yes.
Like you just look at this thing. That's Bloodborne. They're even doing like there's a part where a character does a sort of like a salute animation that is from Bloodborne, except one of his arms is angled slightly different.
You got to approach
doing that kind of like little tweak to get a new thing is in from Software is like historically done. Like Demon Souls, okay, we're not gonna make Human Endurance, we'll make a thing called Dark Souls. It's totally different, guys. Don't worry about it. And this feels like kind of like that. That's what I thought this was. It's like, oh, we're not doing Bloodborne. We're gonna do this kind of like thing so we can do our own Bloodborne. It's like, holy shit, they got Bloodborne too. And then they are in a tweet, I think it was like From Software is very excited to announce their new multiplayer PvPvE game, and just like all my excitement just completely sapped. This like literally went from me like, oh, I have to buy a Switch 2 to I am not going to buy this. Like it was just like my excitement just completely plummeted the more I was like reading about this, because it does look cool. I mean, it looks like Bloodborne. It looks awesome. And then it's just like, I just don't, this is weird. Like as coming from a Souls fan, the last game the new game that's coming out is Elden Ring Night Rain, which is like Monster Hunter for Elden Ring.
Yep.
It's like Monster Hunter meets Fortnite meets Elden Ring, which sounds not exciting at all. And then they're like, oh, we're also going to be doing another PvP game.
Like
I don't want them to make Souls games. Yeah. And I don't want them to make Souls games. Like they made Armored Core, and I loved Armored Core. It's like, oh, I thought Armored Core was the new pivot, but like their new pivot seems to be like in like multiplayer games. Like I don't know. I don't care. It's just like, I think if you're going to watch the reaction to that trailer, you're going to see a lot of people like myself going, holy shit, they did Bloodborne 2. And then you're not going to see the reactions of people like quietly reading like,
the tweet.
Blue Sky or Twitter going like, wait, what is this game? So it's a weird one. I mean, I'm curious, but like, it's just the fact that it's like multiplayer. It's like, that's just not what I want from Software. I don't want them to make Souls games. That's why I just don't care about multiplayer games that much. At least those kind of multiplayer games.
Yeah. I don't care about them either at all, any of this, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
I think those are
it did look cool. It looked very slick.
Those are kind of the really big ones, I feel like. I think the rest of these are just kind of the like, okay, we also have. Bravely Default, Flying Fairy. I've never got to play the original Bravely Default because it was kind of hidden on a 3DS or something, which I never had. So it's one of those games that has always been in my, I would love a remaster of that. Because I've never got to play it. I was wondering
why you're so excited about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, and it's one of those, I think it's like, it's always kind of described as like if you go back to classic Final Fantasy and you want a classic Final Fantasy, they did that. It's Bravely Default. So I am very excited to play Bravely Default, Flying Fairy. Mm-hmm. Another one where they're like, oh yeah, it's physical, but the physical one is a digital code on a card.
I don't even want to talk about that. I was trying to read up and try to understand what that even meant. And honestly, I was just like, nope, not even a word.
Basically, you just put the thing in there and it just downloads the game from the internet. There's nothing on the card except for like a 10 kilobyte file that says go download this thing.
But does it then save it to the card? That was the thing I was confused about. Like, because it said you only had to do. I don't know. I didn't quite get it. Because like, does it now save on the card?
I think it's literally just like. I think it's just a coupon code. It's just like, oh yeah, here's your coupon code to check off that you bought Bravely Default. Now download it on your system, and you have that on your account. I don't know. It's very odd that those things exist.
It has to be more than that. I don't know.
They've been doing it. They've been doing it on Switch a bunch too, especially with like some third party stuff. Yeah. So it's like this has been around, but it's one of those where it's like I love my little line of red cases from my Switch, and there's no reason to buy anything that's just a download code.
They were doing cases with download codes in them, which is insane.
And
so maybe this is just like to placate those people.
Same thing. So I don't know. Enter the Gungeon 2. You loved Enter the Gungeon 1.
Yeah.
3D Shift, good or bad?
Very. I love. This is like one of my favorite things, and like one of the things that has like been missing from games for a long time is like when a sequel. When you were a kid, when you're 35 and you were a kid, when a sequel would come out, there was always a chance that your favorite 2D game was making the 3D jump.
Oh yeah,
and that to me is like that's what a sequel is. Like that's a sequel. It's like or like PS1 to PS2. Like it's just oh my god, the graphics look insane. And to me, that's what this feels like. That kind of just has that like feeling of like to me, if the next Shovel Knight is not 3D, it's like what are you doing? So like I love this stuff because Risk of Rain, which I really like, had a similar jump, and Risk of Rain 2 is awesome. And Risk of Rain 2 is kind of a different game, but I liked that it still had the heart of Risk of Rain, but had a new cool 3D stuff. So this one, and I also love low poly graphics, and I love like I just love that type of art style, like low poly graphics, more pixelated textures and stuff. It's like, oh, this is just exactly what I would want from an Enter the Gungeon sequel. It does really bum me out though. I heard that the stream, because I didn't watch it live, the stream cut out like in the middle of this trailer. So like the actual trailer is like pretty sick. It's like it's really cool, like a boss fight. It's like about a few seconds of a boss fight, but it's like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know how long it was cut out for, but it cut out for enough that I backed out and then went and jumped over to the UK stream, which was up and running by the time I got there. So there you go.
It's funny. Yeah, I'm very excited though.
Nice. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which I would not have been excited about until I recently played through Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is my favorite Zelda of the last 10 years. So I'm just like...
That's so funny.
I'm like morbidly curious about this because I enjoyed that one so much. I enjoyed it more than Tears of the Kingdom, as you gave me lots of crap for. Like, I just thought it was a fun, stupid game. So another Hyrule Warriors that's kind of done that same style, I think would be very cool. So I won't buy it when it comes out, but if this ever goes on sale for like $20 or $30, I'm there.
Well, it might because it's not like it's not a Nintendo made game. Yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
One of my biggest laughs of the entire thing was as they're going through the montage, I was like, okay, oh, cool. And then there's a 10-second clip, not even 10 seconds, maybe 3-second clip of Hollow Knight Silksong right there for you, just with the 2025, so and it's 4 seconds, and it feels like footage I've seen before of it. I don't have that much affinity for this game, but oh my gosh, it was just so funny. That's like, we got Silksong for 3 seconds.
I mean, I'm the person of the two of us. I enjoy Hollow Knight. Like, to me, I'm just like kind of whatever. Like, every time I've seen Silksong, I was just like, okay, it's more just Hollow Knight. I don't know. I feel bad for the dev team because it's turned into sort of like holy grail of games. It's like, okay, guys, Hollow Knight was like pretty good. It wasn't like the best game I've ever played. So I just feel bad for the devs. That game is how I feel about that.
It is one of those games that will come out and it's just going to be disappointment because it's built up so much. It's like The Last Guardian. I love The Last Guardian, but there was so much like, The Last Guardian sucks because it wasn't this flawless, perfect masterpiece after 15 years or whatever. So I do feel like that. And it's a small team. So it's like, oh man, like that's going to suck for those guys. Like there's going to be way too many disappointed people. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Arguably my other favorite, like arguably probably one of my favorite announcements was the GameCube games. We're finally getting GameCube. I'm going to have to buy that stupid $60 GameCube controller. F-Zero GX, great game.
I didn't know you played that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Great game. Wind Waker, great game.
I love that game. That's the only Zelda I like.
I think I've tried it like 2 times. I've never made it all the way through, which is the case for almost all Zeldas. But the big guy, Soul Calibur 2. Oh my gosh. And
GameCube.
So Soul Calibur 2,
funny.
History here. Soul Calibur 2 came out on PS2, GameCube.
I guess the kids wouldn't know this, right? Yeah.
PS2, you got Hihachi in there. I don't remember who Xbox got.
Which is weird.
I don't remember who Xbox.
Spawn,
that's right. I know at that point, like Xbox was too new to have like a first party character. So they got Spawn and GameCube got Link. By far, between the two versions I played, because I did buy it twice because I love Soul Calibur and I love Tekken, and at the time I was super interested in Zelda. Or maybe my brother got one and I got the other. I don't remember how it works. But anyway, I had the PS2 and the GameCube one. Link fits so perfectly in Soul Calibur. This is the best Soul Calibur out of all of them. It is such a great game. Link's such a great fit. I am so excited for Soul Calibur 2. Borderline the best announcement that was made today.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I also like, I had the PS2 version of Soul Calibur, and I knew Heihachi was not the coolest one. He was fun to play as, but it's just like,
he's not Link.
Man, you could have picked like, there's so many guys with swords. Like, why didn't you just get a guy with a sword? Like, what are we doing here? I get that Tekken is in the same timeline, blah 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 blah. But it's like they was just the GameCube kids were just like they were clearly they clearly had the better version.
It's so good.
It's so clear. Yeah.
We had a big section of ports. I don't even want to go through all of them. You had all kinds of stuff, like every big name game. It kind of felt like this was again Nintendo kind of like going like, oh no, we're a real console now. Like we got your board. You want Borderlands? We got Borderlands. You want 2K? We got 2K. Like we got all that stuff.
You want Final Fantasy remake or whatever else? Like, all right.
Yeah. Nothing super exciting. The one that stood out to me was Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Because I was super excited about this, and then again another one where it's like, oh, it's literally like a few new cutscenes. Yeah. And a crazy multiplayer something mode that I didn't quite understand and didn't look too into, so I went, oh man.
It has real Wii U port energy.
Yes, it does. So that's actually a good point. So many of these had that, where it was like, you can play Hogwarts Legacy now with wand control or something. With you can use the mouse controls to move your mouse. And it's like, this is 100% the like, you can throw a batarang from your Wii U.
Yes, exactly. Actually, a lot of those like $10 Switch 2 ports also kind of felt like that as well. It's just like Wii U-ified a lot of these things. It's like, all right, cool. It's cool. It's kind of neat. I mean, I think there are people I know who only have a Switch, so them just like getting access to like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think is really cool. I just think I think that just because so many people have the Switch, these are cool games that they would not have access to otherwise. It's like, that's kind of neat. Yeah. For me, who has a Steam Deck and a PS5, a lot of this stuff is just got like, okay, I'll probably get Hades 2 on Steam Deck. Probably get most of these on Steam Deck. And that's where I was kind of left a little bit flat, because it's like outside the stuff that's already out there, like what does just Nintendo Switch have? And only like 2 or 3 games that were, and like maybe 1 or 2 that
were and I think the way that they presented it too, where it was just this giant chunk of ports for like 15 minutes, it was like, okay, guys. Okay. Yep. I see Borderlands. Yeah. All right. We do. You're right. Yakuza's a cool game. Okay. Can we get to something new? Because again, to your point, like, we'll see how the Switch 2 runs and everything else. But those are all I'm looking at going like, yep, I would buy that on PS5. I have that on PS5. I bought that on PS5. Yeah. Yakuza 0 sticks out. It's like, oh, God damn, I'm going to buy that again for a director's cut. Like, this could be cool. Like, are we adding like an extra story? Are we adding like a new piece? What are we doing? Yeah. It's like, there's a few new cutscenes.
You're adding a 20-minute YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're doing.
For who knows, maybe $80.
Yeah, exactly.
The last one, which was my most disappointing but very cool moment of
Really?
So, okay.
I'm glad. I guess I'm glad I knew what it was. I'm glad because I watched this. You watched this live.
Yeah.
I watched it after the fact, so I kind of knew what it was.
The Kirby Air Riders trailer starts with Kirby on a star, and my mind immediately went to those Smash trailers because it was in the same style. Like everything about it looked like those Smash
very
trailers.
Sakurai trailer.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Who's directing it? So of course that makes sense. But I was like, are they really like? This was my moment of like, are we really like going to announce like the next Super Smash here? And maybe this is the like 2027 announcement. Maybe this is our far out announcement that it's
Sucks.
like, here's all your stuff. Cause this was towards the end. Here's all your like far out stuff. And here's your one tease of like, don't worry, 2 years from now, we're doing Smash again. And it was like Kirby Air Riders. So it's one of those things where like, this is really cool. I'm really excited. Like I very much would like to play Kirby Air Riders. But the intro to that trailer just had me so like, oh my gosh, new Smash. And I was like,
that's funny.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because I went in with the expectation and always care. So I went in with the expectation knowing it was a game that's kind of like whatever about that trailer is awesome.
It's very cool.
It is like just as good as any Smash trailer though. Cause I love, the thing that he does really good with like Smash trailers is like, they put these characters into situations that are like very intense and you wouldn't necessarily see them otherwise. And him just like falling out of the sky and like hitting it, trying to get the star to like function to me was like, I don't know. There's like something like just a little bit like gut wrenching about it. Like, oh my God, like he's hitting it. Like, just like, cause like, please work. God damn it. And then it kind of takes off and then like, la 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 la, we're doing Kirby Air Riders.
Look at this fun, colorful world.
I'm not. Yeah, it is funny though because Sakurai talks about that game a ton in interviews. Like he always talks about it. Everyone's like, why does he talk about that game so much? It's not his good games. But
because he's probably been working on it for the last 3 years, so it's in the top of his mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am curious though. Like it can't just be a racing game though. Like I would be shocked if that's what it was because like going against Mario Kart, like it's coming out this year. I would doubt you'd do 2 racing games. So I'm imagining it's in my head to me. It's like something else.
Couldn't tell you. I mean, you could go. The trailer said nothing other than the name, so I mean, you could see 100 different things happening with it. I mean, it'll be far enough because I would imagine that didn't have a date, so I would imagine that puts it at least like holiday area. So I mean, that's 7 months, 6 months removed from Mario Kart. So I mean, there's some distance at least, but
that's fair.
Who knows?
And that was 45 minutes of 2 old men grumbling.
Kind of grumbling, kind of excited, kind of grumbling, a little both. To wrap it up, though, the question of the day, are you going to be willing to pay $450 and or $500 for the privilege of playing these games and having this thing?
No. We talked about this offline. The cost of the games doesn't seem like a good value proposition to me. Like, so, I mean, to be fair, I own a Steam Deck and a PS5. 90% of those things I'll be getting on Steam Deck or PS5. I'm getting any cool
Soul Calibur 2,
but I wouldn't get Kirby.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I don't think I would get those games anyway. Even if I had a Switch too. This is the thing I ultimately found out with the Switch is like I really like 2 franchises from Nintendo. And
I mean, you weren't a Nintendo kid though, so I mean, you don't have like the history of Nintendo. No, so there's that. Yeah. Okay, so no Switch.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, probably not. I think like Mario Kart World was the most interesting to me, but that's like, well, I know when I pick up my Switch, I'm going to get Mario Kart World and the other game that I'm getting a Switch for. You know what I mean? And that to me was going to be Duskbloods
until 20 minutes later.
Yeah. So are you getting one? I mean, you're pre-ordering or what?
I put in the like Nintendo send me a pre-order option. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I'm like 90% in. It's one of those things where it's like I'm going to get one. And Nintendo's like, it's going to be $450 for the next 2 years. So I might as well just get it now.
I guess. But like, what are you going to play? I mean, like for the end of the year, I mean, you don't play Mario. I mean, you'll get the Mario Kart bundle, I assume. So you got Mario Kart, which you don't. And then, so are you like Bananza?
Yes, very much. That's July. That is a hard yes. That's an absolute yes.
Okay, so the game you're buying a Switch 2 for is DK Bananza.
No, it's for GameCube games. It's for Mario Kart World. It's for DK Bananza. It's for Bravely Default. And things to come. Maybe even Welcome Tour.
Is Bravely Default even exclusive?
Bravely Default 2 is exclusive to the Switch. Bravely Default was exclusive to 3DS, so I'm assuming that it would be. I would assume it is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was like a Nintendo kind of exclusive series. Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, you'll see Switch 2 reviews from Brad, maybe not from Doug, unless that Duskblood games turns out to be really cool
in 2026 anyway. So
Yeah, exactly.
We are Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below. And support us on Coffee as well. See you later.
Bye.